Welcome to the P Podcast, the podcast of the Barcelona International Dance Exchange. Today, in our episode number 103, we have as a guest Iskra Prodanova and Maggie Andraunova. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Iskra, to be with us. It's a pleasure to talk with you for a bit.
Hi, Sebas. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have us.
Hello, and thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. So, first, I know that we are in different countries. So, where are you, Iskra and Maggie? From where you are talking about?
I'm in Berlin currently, and I have a residency here with Slavs and Tatars. So, yeah, here I am until April.
Super. And Maggie?
I'm in Varna.
In Bulgaria, no?
Yes, Varna, Bulgaria, on the beautiful seaside.
Okay. So we like to start with the first question about asking to our guest who they are. So because we consider that it's important to describe ourselves through the things that we feel that we are, not through the things that we do. So if you can share with us who is Iskra, who is Maggie, during this the end of this winter of 2025.
Okay, let me start. So Iskra is an artist. Iskra is a mother, daughter, a friend. Iskra is also a choreographer, also a co-founder of Moving Body Festival and curator of Moving Body Festival as well.
And Maggie?
Maggie, I'm gonna talk in first person because I
Yeah,
will struggle with talking about myself in third person. And also I've been struggling with the definitions and labels, but lately I am presenting myself as a performer and more broadly an artist and also a cultural worker. I, outside of my artistic practice, I also work within the cultural field, helping out with organizing festivals. I've been part of the Moving Body Festival for a few years now, and also part of different projects related to culture and arts.
great. It's for us. It's more. It's not about labeling. Maybe it's more about, as I said before. First we are, and then we do. So it's great to know a little the constellation of each of you guys. So the second question is it's about um, what you are bringing to the performing arts ecosystem. What do you feel your 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 taste or your or what do you bring in whatever order you want to talk?
That's an interesting question. Well, I can say as an artist and also as a choreographer or like a curator of Moving Body Festival, I guess what I'm doing or trying to do is that we are proposing and asking and speculating, imagining, dreaming, framing and deframing, sensing, feeling, listening, crafting, construct and deconstruct different ideas of how we can exist together, how we can communicate, and actually what we can bring the world. Yeah.
And Maggie?
I think for me, this shift towards like moving on from more conventional and dogmatic shape of the arts, because I come from a theater background, and moving on from the classical way that theater has been done for so many centuries, and opening up the arts for a more personal approach, and creating the space for people to be able to create through their own experiences and not using a certain scheme and a certain way of how things are being done. This for me is very important, and also how as artists we can come together and reflect on the current situation in the world and what is going on around us, and move forward with it simultaneously.
Super. And since when you are working with each other in moving bodies?
Yeah.
Yes, moving body.
Go on, go on.
Yes. Yes, I'm very happy that I discovered Maggie a few years ago, and we started working together on the festival, and also our shared mm, artistic practices as well. We are sharing artistic practices together too.
And what do you think you bring to each other? You know, what Maggie brings to Iskra and what Iskra brings to Maggie. So Maggie, what do you think Iskra brings you? And Iskra, what do you think Maggie brings you?
Go on, Maggie.
That's a tough question. I mean, obviously, she brings to me and to my practice and to my life in this sense, a lot of experience and a lot of meaningful conversation and deep thoughts about the way we move and how we move in the direction and all of these questions that are very important for me. But also, I think within our dynamics and our relationship, she brings a big challenge. And sometimes, it's quite hard to to be together and to stay on the same page, or to find each other in the middle. Um, but I think this is a good thing. And I don't feel that there's any kind of stagnation within our dynamics and our relationship. Quite the opposite. I feel like every time it's moving, it's developing, it's in constant flux. It's never boring or stuck.
And Iskra?
Yes, I can totally agree with Maggie. This is a mutual feeling. And I think also what we together, because we spoke about this, what we together are trying to bring to each other is also kindness and understanding and support exactly in these moments when we are losing each other, and how we can come together as well. So I think we are always constantly in the process of finding each other. But also she is bringing a lot of fresh viewpoints, I must say, because, like moving body is existing for 10 years already. And sometimes, maybe, sometimes you're stuck into the things in the ways that you're doing things. So it's always good to have something with an external eye, or like a different perspective, or like to challenge and tackle a different perspective. So thank you, Maggie, for that.
Thank you too.
And what do you what type of let's say, inspiration draw you think that feed this moving body, say body, as I said, and also your personal inspiration as creators, So I know Iskra for a bit, so I know some of her background, but I would like to know, yeah, what type of maybe come from the theater, not just for the dance, maybe from the cinema or from the books. So, what type of inspiration you think the drives you also to each of you?
Maggie, go on.
Um, hmm. I think when I think about my inspiration, I can kind of see two main lines that are moving alongside each other and also colliding and intersecting. I think for me, one of them is what I was talking about earlier, the personal experience and how you as a person, as a creator, as an individual, experience the world around you and digging deeper into your own world. And this is also a lot of the work that we've been doing with Iskra, focusing on inner states and how we are in this world. And the other one is a more, I guess, socio-politic viewpoint about us not as individuals, but as
Mm,
people all living in this planet and um, somehow trying to make things better for not only for ourselves but for our communities and for maybe the world more broadly. And I am not delusional in this sense. I don't think that I will what I do will change the world or anything like this. But at the same time, I feel like dreaming about this and uh, having this in mind while working and while existing and while doing the things that you do helps you a lot to, I don't know, just to have a more strong sense of where you're going.
mm,
You see, that's why that's why I work with her and that's why I love her. I think the personal is also social political. So in that sense, that like moving body platform, I think we talked about this in our personal conversation, Sebas, that it lies on the questions of what moves us and how do we move from individual towards collective body, and how we are moving in time of catastrophes. So I think those are the questions that are lying on my personal artistic work and research, as well as curating and doing moving body platform. And I think we need to ask ourselves these questions of and are we able actually to find new ways of moving into the world and finding ways to be together? What are those new ways of moving together?
great. And going deeper in what this class shared with us, so what do you think is your personal question right now? As an artist and also as curators of this amazing festival and platform.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a tough question. But yeah, lately my personal question is how I can live my life outside of outside of surviving, because I think most of what we do and how we do it is based on some kind of fear that it's not that it's, if we dig deeper, is it comes from our history, and like it's not like only a personal, this fear is not belonging like only to me myself. So I wonder how we collectively we can move outside of this survival mood in this particular time.
And Maggie?
It's a challenging question, though.
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
Yeah, it is a very hard question. I think for me, it's how do we do things differently, both on a personal level and on a societal level, because I feel like quite often I notice for myself as an individual certain patterns that I get stuck in, but I think that also applies to the world more broadly. And seeing what is going on around the world and seeing that it seems like I don't know, people don't learn from history, quite the opposite. They try to make it even worse and worse every time. So that is my question. And also we've been talking a lot about building communities and sustaining communities and all of these things. How do we come together? How do we create an environment for ourselves that where we can thrive, and how to maintain it, because this is also quite hard, not just creating it but also maintaining it and giving it a prolonged life. And I think every time I think about this, and also this is part of the research that we're working with, about um, utopias, and how do we do that in a way that we haven't done before, and that we know that it's not going to work. And this is for me this thing about finding new ways of doing things differently, because repeating the old patterns just stops working at a certain point.
Mm, mm, mm. And about doing, also we started to ask a few years ago, how many times have you thought about quitting? So you have in mind, a few hours, say, okay, no, let's do something else, so, or let's dedicate to make, I don't know, cookies, but just many silly example. But how many times you think about it, if you if you think about it, of course.
Well, of course. I mean, for these 10 years of moving body, especially, but also being an artist, I think I think about this quite often. I mean, maybe once a week, once a month. It's yeah, it always stays there somehow. It's a territory that that I question, but this is not for me, let's say, I don't like to label it like this, but like a negative thing. But yeah, this is provoking me to think in new ways.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I ever thought about quitting, but for quite some time I wasn't sure if I was fit for it, or if that was my thing. And I had a very long period in my life where I was um questioning my participation in this world and my work within it, and I wasn't sure whether I was cut for it, and whether I could do it, or I was just trying and pushing very hard to do something that I'm not meant to do. But I think I'm past that now, and yeah, I don't really think about quitting. I just think about maybe why things are not working out the way I want them to, and how can we make them work.
Can I add something? Because this is a very interesting question for me. And also I connected with these new ways of how we move into the world and how we create these new ways. So I can like propose a kind of a new perspective here, because for me, I think it's important to learn to give up. And because the world is like always, we are constructed to push things, you know, to create and to push things. And this is the dominant politics, let's say. And this is what also our bodies do. They produce and they push. And so I'm asking myself, can we learn actually to give up more often?
Yeah, sure. And about that, also we had a question this year that is kind of funny. So if you can share with us, what do you think was your biggest mistake or your fuck up? You know, so sometimes we have many. You know, it can be something on stage. It can be something, you know, I don't know, cooking. But what do you feel that was your biggest or one of your biggest mistakes or fuck up during your career?
Maggie?
Mm, I don't know if I'll be able to explain this, but one of the things that was that popped out when I was working on my dissertation was how sometimes you think you work in a certain direction and you think that you are exploring certain things, but at the end of the process, you realize that you've kind of been working backwards. And let's say if you're trying to, I'll give this example, heal something through the whole process and through your work, and then at the end you realize that instead of healing, you've been adding more damage or something like this. And this for me is really curious because it's related to uh, the tales that we tell ourselves and that we believe in, and how we believe that we're moving in a certain direction, but at the end it turns out that we've been moving in the complete opposite direction. And I wouldn't say that this is a big fuck up, but I would say that it's one of these very tricky moments, and something that I'm still learning how to regulate and how to work with, not only within the creative work, but also I think that applies to life and how we are quite often.
Yes, it's interesting because as you maybe, know me more or less, but I don't think of mistakes. I don't think in this frame. So I think, let's say, a mistake opens up exactly a space for learning and seeing things. So at the end of the day, let's say, like every mistake, actually, it's very rich for territory and gives you a lot that you learn from it. And
Totally.
I cannot remember of a mistake, let's say, in that context, really.
Okay. 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 And finally, one other question is, um, what's the moment that you realize that you could do it? You know, in this also in this performing arts, let's say landscape, was say, yes, now I can go. I mean, moving bodies have already 10 years. There's a lot of experience and stuff that happens during all these editions and all the activities that you do every year. But where you feel, sometimes maybe you are brushing your teeth and say, oh, yes, don't need to be, dancing in the opera house or whatever, So, but we consider in the BIDE team that you have moments that say, yes, let's go for it, So if you remember when or one of these moments happens, can be nice to know.
Hmm. I think they're like it's connected with quitting. So I think it's every time when I start to quit, like to give up, and then there is something that appeared that it says like an opportunity or like a meeting or a conversation or invitation that I perceive that this invitation somehow comes from like a, I don't know, other outer space. I perceive it that way. So this is the moment that I'm like, okay, we are doing it. It's like there is something that is leading me, and I'm listening. So I don't know. Do you understand what I mean by this? So yeah, it's with every interaction or every invitation or yeah encounter also with participants,
Mm.
because this is also it also gives me a lot of strength and thought when even one person that comes and see a performance, or it's a participant in the workshop, or yeah, it's around the festival, and then it comes and say, wow, this is something very beautiful and nice that you're doing, and it changed my life in this and this and this way. So when I see this kind of relations, like micro relations that are happening, this is my moment of yes, it's happening.
Great. And finally, we have a game since 3 editions already of our podcast to propose that every guest make a question for the next one without knowing who will be. Yeah. So you have a question. In this case, you can leave, of course, 2 questions. So, what do you like, Iskra or Maggie? Or Iska and Maggie to ask to our next guest without knowing who will be.
I think because we spoke so much about this giving up and like opening the space for different kind of conversations, and I think my question would be how to keep the opening open.
Great question. 100% Iskra question. And Maggie?
I was thinking about, what moves you. And this is also one of the core questions behind the moving body platform, not just the festival.
Okay.
And I think it's a really important question that people should regularly ask themselves: where are we going, and where are we moving, and how are we moving? Both again on a personal level and more broadly.
Great. So, for you both, you have a question from Poliana Lima, a choreographer and artist from Brazil that is based on Madrid. And she said, I said first in Spanish and then I translated because we like also to make the questions in the original language that the guest made before. So the question is, si solo pudieras hacer una cosa con la danza, ¿qué harías? If you can do one thing with the dance, what will be?
I will give it a space.
Right.
I will dance with the tensions.
Maggie?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about that earlier when you asked the last question about the struggle for finding the balance
Mm,
always, and to balance between the necessity that we have for some sort of an outside appreciation and something from the outside to give value and meaning to what we're doing, and at the same time the inner one that we give ourselves, and always finding the balance between those two, and in general between the outside and the inside.
mm,
Yeah, I think I would play with this.
great. And
Yeah.
finally, how do you tag this conversation, this podcast? What would be the tagline?
Offering space, opening a space.
And you, Maggie?
Yeah, I quite like that as well. Creating space and thinking about the space in between, the space between us, but the space within us as well, and all the space that all the little spaces that come together in a big space.
So
Great.
the space between the tensions,
Yeah.
the
Okay, great. So thank you so much, Maggie Iskra, to give us a little moment this morning to know a bit more about yourself and also the amazing festival and platform that you are driving there in Banat, where we'll be soon with you to give our big curious. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having us. It
Thanks
was
for having us. Yeah.
So this was the episode number 103 of our podcast, and see you in the next one.